For those of you that don't know me, I always have a glass of red wine on stage, like Sarah. Now, if I can be candid, I need a break. Both financially and liverly. I've worked out in the year I've been doing comedy, probably at a minimum, I spent about 540 quid on red wine for the stage. So I'm going to need you all to be a little bit professional. And imagine that I've got a glass of red wine here. And I'm going to green screen it in later. Are you all imagining a glass of red wine here?
Yeah.
I mean, all white.
Looks great.
It's up to you. Although I am a red wine drinker, so it's up to you though. It's fine. I didn't think it through. And now I'm going to be holding this for the next 10 minutes. Bear with me. Just been to the Yoko Ono at the Tate Modern. Has anyone been?
No.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? I like to go around exhibitions twice. First time, to take photographs to put on Instagram. And the second time, to look down on people taking photographs to put on Instagram. I swam a 10k last week. Thank you. It's not a joke, I just don't think I've told enough people. It was around about the 7 or 8k mark that I realised that finishing this swim wasn't going to fill the gaping void inside me any more than the last one did. Because, excuse me sir, what's your name?
Phil.
Phil, because Phil, if we both know you can't run away from yourself, you sure as hell can't swim, can you? You'd never be able to swim fast enough. Even Michael Phelps is going to have to face his demons one day. So I decided to channel the gaping void inside me into my stand-up. And everyone's a winner. I was in the pub the other day by myself. Guy comes up to me and asks whether I've been ghosted or dumped or something. I said, no. We're allowed out on our own these days. Although, I'm not going to say that having a chaperone wouldn't come in handy from time to time. For example, the other day, I accidentally flushed my moon cup down the toilet at the swimming pool. Which left me with a dilemma as to whether to tell them or not. Tell them and I'll forever be moon cup girl. Or don't, and potentially leave them in the dark as to why that toilet never flushes again. So, I decided to tell them because I wanted everyone to know I was an environmentalist. I went on Bumble the other day, which is something that I do once a month when I'm ovulating. I'm not saying I want to procreate. Just try telling my body that on a Tuesday night down spoons. I set my age range roughly 35 to 55, if I'm feeling generous, which should give you a rough indication of my age, and or daddy/Oedipal issues, depending on how good you think I look. I was going on a date with a jazz drummer. My friend said to me, at least you know he's got good rhythm. She was, of course, referring to the beautiful act of lovemaking, sir. At the time, I wholeheartedly concurred, but on reflection, I got to thinking two things. One, he might not be a very good drummer. And two, just how much rhythm do you need? After a little bit of research, I discovered that human beings have sex at roughly 75 beats per minute in 4/4 time. Something for which I believe a jazz drummer might be sorely overqualified. Before you know it, you might find yourself 3 self-indulgent hours later. There's been no climax, and you're wishing you left at the interval. Just a top tip if you ever find yourself in this position. I'm spilling my wine. The stock response to their questioning as to whether or not you'd enjoyed it should always be, it was interesting. Something I've noticed a lot of recently, a lot of guys on Bumble in their late 40s, early 50s, in the box that says, want children, not sure yet. So either they think they're Charlie Chaplin, or they've got some serious thinking to do. Charlie Chaplin famously had children into his 90s. And don't get me wrong, I too, probably, would have procreated with an nonagenarian Charlie Chaplin. But perhaps not Dave from Shoreditch. I like to play a game on Bumble, how many messages until I receive an unsolicited dick pic. But since they've recently made this illegal, I've had to adapt my game to how many messages until I receive a, may I send you a dick pic? To which I like to respond with photographs of my vagina, fashioned out of household objects. I like to think of the 2 seconds of potential arousal before he notices the chicken fillet. I'm just joking, of course. I'm a vegetarian. So you can replace the chicken fillet with a portobello mushroom. I went out for dinner with my friend the other day. He ordered the octopus. I said, I don't know how people can eat octopus, they're so intelligent. To which he replied, well, it's not so clever now, is it? Told my friend I'd try one of his jokes for him. I said, I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's going to work for me. He said, let them be the judge of that. When I was younger, I couldn't pronounce the word cheese. So whenever my dad wanted to take photographs of me, I'd always say, can I put my clothes on first, please? No. Went down all right, that was fine. I'm going to tell him, it's fine. I'm a teacher. Although I try not to identify as such, George Bernard Shaw famously said, those that can do, and those that can't teach. I wonder what he had to say about those that can't do or teach. Stand-up comedy, maybe. Whilst I try not to identify as being a teacher, if you ask me whether you can go to the toilet, I'll always say, I don't know, can you? And if you don't get that, you may want to revisit your grasp of English grammar. I now look forward to a plethora of grammar pedant heckles. But as a disclaimer, I'm an art teacher. Obviously. Doesn't count. I like to practice my comedy down spoons. The reason for this is threefold. 1, they don't play music, so it's relatively quiet. 2, drinking in an establishment owned by someone as politically and ethically dubious as Tim Martin really exercises one's capacity for cognitive dissonance. A skill I'm finding increasingly useful in scenarios such as this. And 3, nobody bats an eye Well, yet another person talking to themselves. Started doing stand-up for the same reason that most people start doing stand-up. Because my dad didn't love me. Well, I sure showed him. Thank you very much.